Can you hear me? All right. Ten oh seven. Testing. I think.
Test.
Commissioners?
1, 2, test.
Yeah, we got the space. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here at the special meeting of the LaSalle County Commissioners Court. It's April 12th. It's 12:08 a.m. We're at the Ensenada Community Center, 502 Nopal Street, here in Ensenada, Texas. We do have a full quorum. If we could rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Is there any public comment? Thank you for being here. This is the first meeting we've had in this building. I don't think it's a really long agenda. It looks like it, but it should go pretty quick. There being none, discussion, possible action to approve the minutes. Yeah.
Yes,
ma'am. Yeah, I didn't have. No, I saw them. I got to read them. I didn't have any issues. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I make the motion, Judge.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a, well, we're on the reports. And it's a little bit early in the reports, but they should have come in by now. We go this way? Was there anybody that didn't submit a report?
The one that didn't submit was Constable Precinct 3.
You haven't received it yet?
It not checked here, Judge.
Judge,
Yes,
I'll make the motion.
to approve the bills.
Approve the bills as presented with the reports. And as presented, and do we wait on
No,
extra?
no, I mean, if you still will need more time to look at the reports. If we do them as presented, then you can go back and review them. It's just,
Okay.
is there a second? Okay, motion's been made and second to approve the bills as presented. Uh, All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the reports that is. I can come back to the bills at the end. I'll skip down to number 7, discussion possible action to authorize bids for requested proposals for testing and maintaining generators. And we'd covered this before, but we wanted to, what I wanted to see, if you wanted to go out for bids, if you can look at, on the current generators, we're paying about $1,800 a week to get them tested every week. So, and that's not including the generator for this building. And so we figured it could be easily 2,000 a week. So over a year, we'll end up paying 104,000. We can go out for bids. We had the contract with U.S. Engines, and then they got sold out, or somebody bought and it's somebody else. So I don't know who it is now, but the contract is up. We can go out for bids. We got 2 options. We can go out for bids and list all 8 generators and tell them to give us a price. And if we think it's too high, then we may want to consider employing somebody.
Correct.
Because right now we're paying about 104,000 plus the test, which is an annual inspection, which is about 4,700. So let's say 110,000. And we have enough people that worked in the oil field and worked around generators that have that experience to be able to with generators. So it may be something that we can advertise it, be all fair. If we get a good price, and great. But if we don't get a good price, then open it up for
local.
yeah. So run in the paper, you know, to give them a chance. But I don't know how long it takes to do to work on a generator or check it. I know you have experience, Commissioner Nieves. I don't know.
It don't take long.
You know, is it 30 minutes a week to run it, or an hour a week?
Oh, it all depends. If the generator's running good, it's good. If something's wrong with it, but you know, you're gonna spend time there.
See, because all these people were doing is running it, checking the oil, and there's a checklist in there. And this is what they would do: check the filters once in a while, but they wouldn't fix it. They'd call somebody else, and then they charge you per hour.
Okay.
So we assign someone to test run it, check the oil, do it ourselves. You know, on the average of 1 hour, 2 hours a week. I mean, we may be able to help somebody.
Yeah, if they're just gonna check it out just like that, and then they're gonna call somebody else, it ain't news to them.
and that's what was happening.
Okay.
It's like the jail. We bought it from U.S. Engines because they were a generator company, but then they couldn't install it. They didn't have anybody install it. So it sat there for about a year, maybe 2 years, until we got an electrician to be able to hook it up completely.
Yeah.
So you have enough people in this town with oil field experience that have been around generators that can do it. So we put it out for bids. They're interested. They put out a bid and bid for each location. The EOC, you know, the tower, Ensenada Jail, Cotulla Jail, Courthouse, Fire Department, Cotulla, Fire Department, Ensenada, and this. And then tell them to give us a price. And we have a price list. How many kilowatt hours?
How about that dialysis? Is he gonna have a generator too?
I don't know if it's going to have a generator. It may, but we can bid that out separately if it does. I think it probably does have a generator.
Look, like on that one, Judge, whoever does the test runs or whatever, it'd be better for them to go ahead and do the oil changes and do everything, you know, when
Yeah.
needed. I mean, if they can just add to it, this how much the price would be, you know, whenever the oil change is needed, this is what it's gonna be.
Well, you have to make a list on it that you want to check the filter, check the oil change, and change the air filters.
And if you look there, there's a checklist in there in the
Yeah.
back of that. There's a checklist and they check everything that they do on it. And then if they routinely change the oil every 3 months, and run it, or every 6 months, I don't know how often you change
Well, every so many hours, but if it doesn't run.
but this is the backup generator. I know the generators at the jail get tested pretty often, weekly. And then the generator at the courthouse kicks in quite a bit too. But if we have someone running it, then it'd be great. It'd be great. So if we want to put it out for bids, let's put it out for bids, for a contract. And if, like I said, we don't,
Let me see that. Let me see it.
And,
yeah, let it pass it around
and
before.
it'd be nice if the bidders are mechanics.
Well,
The way they know what they're doing.
They gotta be a little certified or something.
but
Yeah,
they might not have certification, but
but mechanics.
but
at
the thing
least.
is, they should have experience with the generators.
Yes, correct.
And quite a bit of oil field people that have worked on the drilling locations that have experience with generators. So I think between you and the experience that you have, you should be able to ask somebody questions.
There's a lot of locals that are pretty good mechanics. They can experience it.
I mean, I've seen non-fixed generators with those big old fingers.
The chiquito, the gas ones.
No, the big ones. I guess
don't-
when he was doing work for
Lagarto.
Seidel.
No, Lagarto.
We had some big ones with Lagarto.
Huh?
We had some big ones though, big generators. I mean, you just gotta get somebody to change the fan belt, and adjust the belt, stuff like that. I mean, because anybody can just go check the oil, but you gotta have somebody that can.
You gotta be a
You gotta be a
mechanic.
mechanic, a little bit of mechanic, a little bit. I mean,
Yeah, but they got to have experience. I mean, with
Yeah.
being able to fix it. It helps with the small items.
I'll make the motion just to put it out for bids.
We'll put it out for bids.
And if we like the price, we'll take it. If not, we'll look for a mechanic, a local
an
mechanic,
employee, or yeah.
employee or a mechanic.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 8, discussion, possible action to approve interlocal agreement with the city of Cotula, garbage collection town site of Vallerton. Mr. Ramos. This is a product of,
Yes, good morning, Judge. And
would you like a copy?
First of all, I want to congratulate you all on that beautiful building. I'm sorry I couldn't go. I'm still under quarantine. I almost feel like I'm a cow or a bull under livestock quarantine, but I appreciate your patience through these hard times. But anyway, regarding the interlocal agreement, as per your request, I drafted an agreement.
Net file.
I submitted the agreement to the city of Cotula.
Yeah. It should
And
be-
basically, I'll give you the essence of it. It's an agreement between the county relating to garbage disposal and pickup at the unincorporated towns of Gardendale and Fowlerton. And basically, the city of Cotula agrees that they will, at their expense, furnish personnel, labor, equipment, and trash containers, which is important, to collect trash and waste materials at those communities. And the agreement obviously would be, I don't know if, I think would be effective sometime effective whenever the commissioners approve it, and for 1 year thereafter. Now, either party could terminate the agreement on 60 days written notice. And the city would put up 2 8-cubic-yard containers. And the concern, and they would at least on a weekly basis, pick up the trash. A concern that I think both the county and the city had is that the trash to be disposed of at these containers should be literally more of what I would describe as trash from the home. In other words, no old mattresses, no old clothing, no old shoes. Animal carcasses is important, especially during deer season. The idea being that it be strictly for domestic type trash. No solid waste or discarded sewage would be disposed of into the containers. The agreement has a provision where the county would not be liable if any injury or any incident occurred relating to these containers being used. So the county is protected in that respect. And I submitted the agreement to Mr. Lovalina, the city manager, who in turn submitted it to Mr. Steve Peña, the city attorney, and he has approved it as to form. So I don't know if you have the agreement in front of you, but I forwarded to the judge's office, and that is the proposed agreement. I think it's a very good agreement. The only concern that I think both parties have is that the county may have to take some affirmative action. And I don't know exactly what that would be, other than just placing signs saying that the type of trash that's to be disposed of in these receptacles. And Judge, I think you have a copy of that, and it only relates to the towns of Gardendale and Fowlerton. So it'd be one trash container at each.
Sometimes you run into situations where they do throw debris and garbage and lumber and things you can't control. And in those cases, TCEQ comes after us to clean, but they've done that anyway, even without this contract. When people create illegal dump sites, they require the county to do the cleaning up. So this is going to give them the ability to have a place to dispose of the trash and not burn it. But we still need to make sure they understand that not to throw away the big items. And sometimes you can't control it, especially during hunting season, and that's where you got to watch it the most, where they throw carcasses. But that's not only outside the city limits, it's inside the city limits too. That's a problem. But it's a good start. And
I'm gonna try and fence it up.
huh?
Fence it up.
Try to fence it up.
Yeah.
But it's a good start. But we know people, even though you fence it up, they'll throw it outside, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you can't control it, but it's not gonna solve everything, but it's gonna help quite a bit. So I mean, it's and like I said, there's no charge to the county for it, but this gives the city the ability to extend the garbage collection outside the city limits of Cotulla.
One thing that I failed to mention was that the contract is automatically renewable at the end of the year unless either party terminates it. So it's really it's more than 1 year unless the city or the county elects to terminate the agreement.
So we would need a motion to approve the agreement, the garbage collection agreement for the with the city of Cotulla.
That motion?
Second.
Motion has been made in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna jump to number 11. Uh, Mr. Ramos, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it but I'll give it to you. So do not, received the letter back on June 22nd. And it's from City Cotula, and the City Cotula is writing to inform you of its desire to annex the area described in the enclosed survey. In 2019, Texas Legislature amended Chapter 43 Texas Local Government Code, repealing the city's ability to unilaterally annex certain roadways, replacing it with the following section: 43.10055, annexation of roadways and right-of-way, notwithstanding any other law, a municipality may by ordinance annex a road or a right-of-way of road on request of the owner or the right-of-way of the governing body of the political subdivision that maintains the road or right-of-way under the procedures prescribed in Chapter C1. And so they can only annex upon request of the political subdivision that maintains the road or right of way. Accordingly, the city asked that matter to be submitted before the Commissioner's Court. And it's signed. Please contact me if there's additional questions. Javier Garcia. And the only concern that I have, Mr. Ramos, is one, we still got a punch list of Anderson, Columbia to take care of on that road. Second, there were some provisions in the deed with the Newmans on transferring the title that I don't think that's happened yet.
Right.
So so we have to come back and, take care of the deed work because it was a gift deed. It had conditions that we had to finish within a certain amount of time. And we're at that point. And third is any warranty issues relating to the roadway since it's being completed. We want to make sure that any annexation, if we agree to it, any annexation is not affected by the warranty. So, Jorge, I noticed that you did the survey, provided the survey. Is there anything else? Because we knew that they were going to annex that area of town eventually, but whether the timing is right or not, it's there.
Good morning, Commissioner Judge. Just wanted to, I guess what I could say is that you're 100% correct. The warranty period will commence once we accept the job. And what I'd like to make sure is that when this thing does transfer over, when the city decides to annex it, it doesn't relieve Anderson, Columbia of their duties in any way, being that the contract is with the county. I don't believe so, and I think Mr. Ramos can attest to that, but we would have to check with the attorneys. But outside of that, I think we're at the point on the job to open it at the county's wish. I know we've talked about groundbreaking and different things, but that's all I'd like to add to it.
So I think it's preliminary. It's early for that, that we need to do the punch list and, get it open first and take care of the deed work and then come back and look at it. So, I would like to table that item until, we'll find out more. Because I spoke to Mr. Dovalina, he said, well, we really don't want the road. We want to annex all that area, which is fine. But we knew eventually they incorporated it, comes off our inventory for maintenance, but we want to make sure that we're protected as far as the warranty issues.
Yes, sir. And at that point, if the city does annex, it becomes our responsibility as well. For the maintenance.
So
I'll make the motion to table it.
to table it and then kind of look into it more, Mr. Ramos.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's prudent to hold off on making a decision until all of those issues are fully investigated, Judge. I think it's a little premature for us to act on that.
So is there a motion to table?
I'll make the motion, Judge.
Second.
Motion is made to table the item. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 12, discussion and/or possible action to consolidate precincts 1, 5, and 6 and consider polling places for precinct 1, Civic Center, precinct 3, um, I think City Hall, precinct 2, Ensenada Community Center. And Margie, you can kind of give us an update. There's a law that passed that states if the school elections and the city elections fall on the same day as the county or statewide or federal elections, then that all polling places must be consolidated. And because the governor moved the elections of the school and the city, then they're requiring that all the elections be consolidated. And I asked Margie, well, does that mean separate ballots? Well, if they have a location, they still have separate ballots. But it's all one location. At the new city hall.
No, you-
Okay. And election day is on a certain day. So we can arrange for the meals to be the frozen dinners for the elderly on that day, so that way the kitchen's closed for that day, but it's open. I mean, it's big enough.
Margie and Fullerton stay over there. Okay. That's the only one.
Now precinct in Fowlerton, they're gonna have, are they gonna have to come in for the school election? Or is it gonna be done over there? Now, what about the Dilley Independent School District? And what about the Winter Garden Water District?
Yes.
Because that's gonna apply to the Dilley Independent School District, because they're in LaSalle as well, and the Winter Garden. So we're gonna have to reach out to them. Right, so we would need a motion to authorize the consolidation of precinct 1, 5, and 6. And then precinct 3 would be at the city hall, the new city hall, and Ensenada would be here in this building. And 1, 5, and 6 would be at the convention center. And
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And, and I did research on this and it's a law that passed. So it's no way around it, you know, it's sometimes say, hey, you know, it might be easier to, keep them as they are, but it's actually a law that's on the books that's being required. So
Everybody's gonna going into the same door and everything.
I would suggest that
Because
but even election, I think what we need to look at when we consolidate that you have the proper signage. You know, this is the school. This is the school. This is the county. This is the city. I think so people don't get confused. Because you get some people that just want to vote for the school, and they don't want to vote for anybody else, or just the city, or just the county, and if they kind of feel forced, then they don't go at all. So you got to make it very comfortable for them and make sure that they understand this is where we're going.
and then I mean
Huh?
make sure 1 and 5 are on a different spot too, because they're gonna go in there. They're just gonna go in there. Plus, he wasn't there. I mean,
Right.
if that happened before, they go in there and hey, but his name wasn't even in there.
Because for the if you have 1, 5, and 6, you mean you got a separate ballot for precinct 1, for example, and then you know, but you want to make sure that it's not 5 and 6 also voting in there. So you got to make sure that there's no confusion with the ballots. And at the same time, the same thing with 4 and 5. You got to make sure. Okay. So just to make sure that there's clear instructions, and if you could give us an update right before we do, maybe September, and then that way the kinks are done and we have an idea ahead of time of who the judges are and who's going to be assigned to what. You know, it may change because people sometimes don't come through, but you know, at least we do that. So a motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Um, number 14, discussion possible action to accept bids with any possible award for Ledwick road improvements necessary to comply with Union Pacific contract for railroad upgrades. And Jorge, Mr. Ramos, I reached out to Ivan and he said he had sent us, Ivan Jaime, that he had sent us the final contract. So I asked him to mail it to me. The PO box that they had, a lot of people are still using PO box 340, Margie, and we haven't had that for a while, right? So it's possible it gets sent back.
The agreement's been signed. And I think what we're waiting on are the bids with regards to the road itself, the widening of the road. And I think Jorge is probably more familiar with the details regarding that. But that's correct. I think as with regards to the contract between Union Pacific and the county, that's been finalized. So now I think the next step is the acceptance of the bids for the widening of Ledwick Road. And Jorge, you probably have more details regarding that.
Yes, sir. We did receive bids last Thursday. There were 6 bidders for the Ledwick improvements. This is for the roadway component. And when we received the bids, there was the 6 bidders.
All yours?
The apparent low bidder had some discrepancies on their unit prices. So if you look at the bid tabulation that I passed out, the actual new low bidder based on the discrepancies that were found is J&J Excavation and Materials. And the amount of $406,149.34. So right now we're showing out of the 6 bidders, the price is at 406. Our engineering estimate was closer to 470 for this work, so it's under budget. And at this point, we're still doing our review as to who would, look at references, who these contractors are. We haven't worked with, at least I say we, but in LaSalle County, I haven't seen anything for county jobs from J&J Excavating. They're out of Carrizo. Their references and their bonding does show they do work for grant projects, different highway, roadway jobs as well. On paper, they look good. With the county's directive, I'd like to go get references and recommend award at that point if they do check off on everything.
I just presented to the commissioners a spreadsheet, and in the back is a recap of the bond funds that we have and tiers money, which is general fund money that we have outstanding. And it still has to be verified by Jorge. There may be some draws that are out, but the total budget on this, on Laywick Road, I don't think this pricing includes what Union Pacific is charging us also.
That's correct. It's another 460 or 475.
So the pricing for this comes out to be, what's your low pricing right now?
406, 200,
406. And Union Pacific?
475, give or take.
So I think in the budget we had put in at one point, and put an amount of 985.
That's correct.
You got this pricing, and these people that are bidding, do you have any experience with any of these?
J&J, I haven't worked with them personally. I know they've done grant jobs for different entities nearby, and they do have them listed on their bids, on their bid attachment. Tierra Lease, I have not worked with. Obviously, WL Contracting or Brenham, we haven't seen here, and J. Carroll Weaver is doing the project in El Jardín right now.
So does this work have to work in conjunction with Union Pacific?
That's right.
Or does Union Pacific have to do their work first and then this contract would kick in? How would it work?
So essentially, this contractor is in charge of the roadway, and as they move or work closer to the railroad rails, there's some flagging that needs to be coordinated and paid for. And so there's a lot of coordination between UP and this contractor. At the end of the day, UP has their own forces that do certain components of the rail itself. So that's the 485 you're referring to, the 475, I believe. That money is already allotted, and it's going to be paid to the contractor that UP selects. So the roadway component is these guys, but there is coordination and insurance requirements from them to comply with UP's requirements from the agreement that the county signed.
And at the inception of all this process, it started back in LaSalle, where Union Pacific wanted to close this roadway, and we had a number of people. At that point, Carrizo Oil and Chesapeake had made commitments to assist. Have those rabbit trails ended?
It looks like the last response I had from Chesapeake, and then it just, at the end of the day, nothing ever came through. That was the last person that said they were still interested in helping in some way or form, and they have not come to the table with anything to present.
So
I can add to the court, Chesapeake is currently in bankruptcy. So I see it even more difficult to get any money from them.
Yes, sir.
and Carrizo Oil and Gas, I don't know if they sold all their interest in LaSalle or not.
That I can't answer that.
Huh? So they're out. So we're on our own. We're on our own on this.
So at this point, I did, we were reviewing the bids, trying to make sure that we do our homework and talk to references. There's still some work to be done. If the county does want to move forward with it, I'd like to see that they can have an option for us to continue that work, and for the low bidder, if they do intend to award to that, and we'll go from there.
Commissioner, this is one of your first projects that you wanted to do. It's taken that long with Union Pacific.
I know.
So, I'm sure we want to proceed with authorizing the low bid. uh, And provided the references, and out.
Yes, sir.
Where is that company from, Jorge?
Crystal City.
Crystal City.
Here, J&J Excavating, the low bidder for this 406 is out of Crystal City. The number 2 on the list, Tierra Lee Services, is out of Kennedy, I believe, Kennedy, Texas.
Now, Tierra Lee Services has been bidding in LaSalle already, right?
Yes, yeah. These have been bidding here. This is one of the first times I've seen them, at least on the jobs I've worked on, that they're low bid or close to.
My only comment would be that before we necessarily accept the lowest bidder, we better look at their performance history and make sure that they have a history of good performance on other projects.
So what about accepting the bids into the minutes? Go ahead and do your research.
Then I'll submit an engineer recommendation for the next meeting.
Right.
After we finish.
Yeah.
And find out if there's any lawsuits for non-performance, any bond claims for non-performance. And now they're all going to be following your specs on the material, right?
Yes, sir. They're all text out standard specs.
Then that's what we would need to do, just a motion to go ahead and authorize the bids to be accepted into the minutes. You do your research and we'll come back in a week or 2 weeks, and
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be on those 2 or 3.
well, I guess he's gonna rank all of them and do the research on all of them. That way they're all looked at.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion. There.
Second.
So, motion has been made and second to go ahead and record the bids into the minutes and to do the investigation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 15, discussion possible action to select projects for final list of text dot CTIP program in the amount of 7,426,717, which is a state grant with a matching amount of $1,856,679 in matching funds. And what you have to do is kind of select what your project's gonna total. And part of the thing that I gave you a while ago, if you look at precinct 1, if we look at your total amount of money and you include your text dot allocation, then to match your amount of the text dot grant, you'd have to come up with 464,169, and it kind of gives you where you're at. In each of yours, I put remaining till end of the year. That's how much money I'm estimating that you need to finish out your payroll, payables, repairs, which is just pretty much the halfway point. You may spend less or more, but it gives you an idea where you'll be at cash wise. Um, in precinct one, um, that 200,000 is an error, text dot bridge, you're not getting the text dot bridge. So if, if you do the project and your matching funds, estimated cash balance at the end of the year is 282,000. Road number 2 on text dot, with funding the text dot, spending money to the end of the year would be estimated about 68,000. Road and bridge number 3 coming up with 464 and the match for Elm Creek, but that may not be due till next year, right? Jorge, on text dot? On the AFA with Elm Creek,
That won't come up to play until the agreement gets done. When's the fiscal year for the county close?
December 31st,
Okay.
because they want you to cut a check to text
That's
dot
right.
for
that's
that. So that's be, that'd give him 138,000. That means he has some of $1 million right now. Take out the Elm Creek,
right. They may
the
adjust
match
that.
for text dot, and then the funding till the end of the year would give him about 130. If we don't have to pay that, it'd be about 240,
Which one on Holland Ave? Yes,
huh?
yes, sir. And they're going to be adjusting the estimates. That's what they were doing while we work on getting that interlocal, that agreement set up before.
And precinct number 4 is $1,600,000. They got the CHIP program. Do the AFA of Frio the same thing? 205 maybe do this year, next year. We give them about 500,000.
Yeah, that's
Now, commissioners, we can do the match out of the remaining bond money too. So if you look at the final page, there's money there, which would be about 2 million. So that you also have that opportunity to do that. So my goal was to go ahead and let you know of what pools of money you have available to you. So if you want a chance and not mess with your reserve, we can take it out of
the bond.
the bond money. But those projects need to be identified. So meaning you're taking $7 million, $7.4 million, 7.4 divided by 4. .8 plus 264. So you basically have a $2.3 million project. And it's hard to do it, but it's not a lot of money to go around. So I would suggest, this is what I would suggest, that you take out the match. And then when you bid out the project, if you need to come up with any difference, then you come out with your budget. So if it goes up a little bit, or you want to add another mile, or you want to do something else, then you take it out of your budget. You kind of balance it out. But you're going to have to pick one project and let Jeff know. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So if he has to let the state know, so we need to know today what projects you're going to do. So if you have this amount right now, you have to decide what road you want to work on. So. And then
Say, Judge,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna, let me see here. I'm gonna share the screen. I prepared a spreadsheet.
Sure.
Let's see here. Are you able to see the sheet that I just clicked on? With, it'll be a square. It says precinct, then project, budget. Let me make that a little bigger. So in this spreadsheet are the priority 1 project from each commissioner that they gave me before we submitted the application. And this gives you the breakdown of the budget.
We can't see it.
You can't see it?
No,
Let me
sir.
see. Let me try this. How about now?
No. There you go.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Yeah, can you make it bigger?
Okay. Let's see here, Judge.
Go to your Zoom.
any better? Which is 2.8.
Can't hear you.
Hey, Jeff. I don't know. Yeah, I can't hear you very well. Your system crashed out.
Well, I'm still just as soon as connect. See, I can just explain the numbers. So,
Well, one of the things, we can table this and come back to it in a little while, let you get updated and keep going on. Maybe, how long do you think it'll be? Or if you want to fax us, or you want to email us a copy, then I can get it printed out.
I'll do that right now. You know, get on.
Yeah.
Sorry for the technical difficulty.
Well, email it to me and then we'll table it, we'll come back and go over it.
Let me do it.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll make the motion to table this.
Yeah, because it's so important. That's not getting the deadline. We gotta get it out. Motion been made to table.
Second.
Back. All those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Discussion possible action on change orders for the DOT and the courthouse repairs with Goddard. Package, but if they're not. I've signed them, but I haven't given them back to them, because they're also wanting a payment. So they haven't delivered. So he's asking for 15,627 more. changes at the EOC. So he's saying that his electrical engineer says that compressor lines, installation, and condense lines have been damaged over the years. Some are severely damaged. So he has to take care of that. Over the past decade, workmen individuals have been in and out of the attic. A substantial amount of ductwork crisscrossing in the attic that need to be taken care of. This is the EOC.
Can we take a look?
And then there, on the carrier, photograph shows overflow pipe from the drain, capped off about a drain outlet. So you should have got this in your packet, but if you didn't, I'll pass it around. Get us almond.
Yeah, Carlos.
Huh? You should have got it, but he has pictures of the work that needs to be done. In case you don't.
It's fine.
Is it there? Achilles? Yeah, there's should be pictures in there.
How much was the amount?
15,000 on this change order. No, sorry, 59,436.
59.
And it states, fabricate and install new pair of white oak doors with low E glass at the main entry and parking lot. Existing doors will be repaired. Turn over the owner's attic stock that says courthouse. Fabricate and install white oak doors in the east side entry. Existing doors will be removed, repaired, and reinstalled. All new and existing doors will be prepped up and painted. Work on the entry that are to receive new doors will begin until the new doors arrive. The two entries will have existing removed, repaired, reinstalled, and have temporary plywood infill. J.C. Stoddard will inspect hardware of existing doors. This work will be done outside the courthouse. And then all punch items, electrical, HVA punch list, which is mentioned there in that report. Masonry infill on the exterior wall of the equipment room, electrical security door on the inner door. Um, So that's, So that's 10,000. So it's the totals. I don't know if Gillis is there. Gillis? I sent him the Zoom info. These are the AIA, but please keep them together. And if you want to table it, we can come back to it a little bit also.
Table.
And we'll come back to it in a little bit.
Second.
After y'all review it. Motion's been made and second to table the item. Okay. Oh. That way y'all have time to review it, and then we'll come back to it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So before we break for lunch, let's go into executive session item. Huh? Jeff, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Well, let's go back to Jeff then. There's a motion to reopen item number 15.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to reopen. It's 11:15. All those in favor say aye.
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 Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for all the hard work you've done on this in working with TxDOT. I know you've worked pretty hard on this.
Glad to help, Judge.
And all the pressure that everybody placed on TxDOT with, not only for the BRINSAP program, also has paid off. We're still working on getting your bridge taken care of. Jorge, what's the status on that, on the Cochina Ranch?
So you're looking at, you're referring to the grant funding that got awarded. So right now, I've asked TxDOT specific questions related to getting the credit that that we're anticipating once we submit for it. So until they respond to that, we'll be submitting an estimate and the formal request to TxDOT before that AFA is drafted or finalized and agreed to. So those are for the two, the one in La Cochina, the BRINSAP Bridge, and the Elm Creek on Holland Dam.
See, back about a year ago, we went and met with Texas Department of Transportation, and we were concerned because they have a BRINSAP program. And every 2 years, they're supposed to fund in the district money for these bridges. Any bridge over 20 feet is considered state bridge and is their responsibility. But there's not enough money to go around. But it's been over 10 years that we've had any bridges funded. So we started asking, well, where's the money going? Where's the accounting? And started putting a lot of pressure. And Jeff started putting pressure over there. So outside the BRINSAP program, they found money to take care of two bridges, which is your bridges. But we're also concerned about the safety of the bridge on Cochina because it doesn't have any rails. So, and we wanted them to prioritize it, and they completely forgot about it. So now we're asking, hey, well, pay attention to it and let's see how you can get it funded.
That's right.
But you have the grant and you have money available to you to fix it. But if you're having to put TxDOT money here, and they're making you do 20% of it, then if you want to do another project, you can't because you're fixing the state's obligation. If Cochina Road is the responsibility of bridge is responsibility of TxDOT, then they shouldn't make you have to use your money. So what I'm saying, trying to give you the option, don't go after the precinct Cochina Road Bridge yet. Let's see what we can do money-wise, and it frees you up for another project. Because if you look at what they did also on the AFA, On the state bridges, on this grant, we have to match 20%. But you managed to get a 10% match on the bridges.
The
So,
BridgeSat program requires 10%. It's not the typical standard agreement that normally would be 20. So it's 10% for that one. So just to clarify, the bridge itself, any improvement you do to another bridge is what we're trying to do. If the county does decide to do that, it opens up the money. Instead of having to cut a check to the state for these two bridges, you're going to be fixing another bridge instead. So you end up getting two bridges instead of spending money for just one.
because I know last year, and I haven't talked to you in a while, but last year you wanted to do some projects in Ensenada, but you also have the Cochina. And, it gives you where you want to go, meaning we're trying to get that funding opportunity funded. That way, it gives you some other options to pick.
Yeah. And now, 'cause I want to, for sure, I want to go ahead and fix that bridge just because, it's dangerous, it don't got that guardrail and.
So that bridge, just for clarification, so that bridge that you're talking about with the railing that's failing, the ones I sent text out to see if they can get funded, is not the one that they're funding. They're funding the one just before that. The one before that is a BridgeSat bridge.
The
That's
small one.
the smaller one.
The
The one with the railing is the one that we're trying to find them to fund. And to date, they have not given us that. So what we had talked about, or one thing that we're trying to propose is, if we fix the one with the railing, the money that's spent on that to fix can offset any money that you're going to have to spend on the other one. In other words, you won't have to cut them a check. So, but one of the questions we have for the state is, let's say that bridge with the railing cost $1 million, and the match for that other bridge is only 150,000. Let's say that extra credit, we want to make sure that credit carries over to other projects in the future, so that you're not having to cut checks for every single project that comes out. That's one of the clarifications we're asking for, and I'm sure they're going to Austin trying to get that clarified as well.
So we would repair that first bridge right before that one first.
That's the one the state wants to let out as part of this grant, and they're looking at, for both of them, if it does get accepted and move forward, as early as August of next year is when they would be letting it out for bids. That's what they intend.
But that's TxDOT doing it through the
They're
grant.
doing their own grant. They're hiring their own
So-
contractors and everything.
So we brought to you last time, we got Elm Creek and Field Creek. Everybody's saying they got another one to do this one. And you'd have to come up with 10% on that. Or is he gonna have to use the county money?
That one would be county money to get credit for. That's the questions we have for the state.
And the whole question we have, Commissioner Alba, is that on Cameron Road, we replaced a lot of bridges. And they said they were going to give us the credit, and they don't remember. And then it's like the 468, we spent all that money in 468, and they don't remember that we pitched, but we get bypassed. So it's hard to say, hey, we'll give you credit if you built it, and then they come back and say, well, there's an error here, or there's some miscommunication here. So it's hard to trust them on that
And we're-
until they get an agreement.
Everything's getting done in writing. We're going to be sending packages to them once we get in a letter from them and their letterhead saying that they agree to it, then we'll move forward on the agreements.
Because if it's their obligation to fix all the bridges over 20 feet, then why are we spending county money on it?
What they say is that they're responsible to inspect it. They are responsible, and they do inspect it every year, every 2 years by a consultant. That's where the BridgeSat report comes in. So it's a county, what they're saying is a county's obligation, even though they're inspecting it. That's why sometimes we'll get into BridgeSat, you got to do this, you got to do that, make it load zoned or whatever. But ultimately,
But it's funny, it's county obligation, but we have to give them money and they do it themselves.
that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean,
No, I know.
You know.
I've had long conversations with them, and it seems like there's a new administration there for the most part at the local district. So we're trying to, do good and improve the county and get a relationship going so that we get more of these. I don't want this to be the last year we get them.
So since it's the state's responsibility to inspect it and to take care of, shouldn't they pay 100% of it because they're over 20 feet?
They would still require a local match of 10% if it gets
10%.
funded. Now, this bridge competes statewide, so it's actually a national program that's funding this to the state level, but you compete statewide against other counties that have bridges that are deficient. For example, El Jardín Road had several bridges that were already in the deficiency list. They were on the top list for that they needed to get done. That would have been a prime example that we could have got that one funded and got it.
But those weren't over 20 feet, or they were?
They were at the threshold, and they were Brinsat bridges. Those are getting replaced now. And so because it's already started, it's not getting credit. So that's the same concept that we need to, from this point, not allow this to happen anymore. in the
But
future.
see, that was a discussion we had with Melissa Montemayor years
That's
ago
correct.
when we met with Danny and myself, and it didn't pan out. So here we go, building bridges again, and there's no credit. So you would think there'd be more involvement from TxDOT.
And yes, sir, that is correct. There was a lot of discussions, and we can't find documentation on their end and our end to see that they agreed to that credit. So at this point, we're not doing anything or moving forward on any of this until we get that letter from the state saying that you're going to get credit for other stuff that you're going to do. It's got to be well documented. So at the end of the day, we can force the issue a little bit better.
So today Jeff has the task of deciding what projects you want to do, or what one project you want to do between each. And then
Is he
he
on?
submits it. Yeah, Jeff, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry to take it away from you. I'll let you have it.
No, you're good, Judge. So we have got a signed grant agreement with TxDOT for the $7.4 million, which is up 200,000 from the original number. And the last step before we can start incurring expenses, which will be reimbursed 80% on, is for us to submit the revised project list. And what I did today is giving you a table of all the priority one projects the commissioners gave me with the original cost estimates. Now, we will need to revise crossing improvements. And you just
Lost you.
supported.
So
Can you hear me at all?
he did brief me on in case it this happens. So what he's trying to say is we need to revise all the estimates from that first priority list so that we can see that there's an estimate that he's providing that he's showing that out of the 4 or 5 projects that were listed, we need an additional funding to completely fund that job. So the question will be, revise that project list and update the scope as needed so that you can fully fund it without having to either come out with additional money than what we had discussed, or we just scale back the job. Instead of it being 2 miles, we go back to 1 mile, whatever it is. As an example, Ledwig on the list that he has that he emailed, he's saying that it's like a $4 million job to go all the way to the end. That's one of the jobs that we have. Now, this 1,900,000 something that we talked about today is going to come out of that. So you're not going to have to spend the 4 million. So we're going to revise that estimate to reflect the new number. Same thing with like Valley Wells. If we're going to do, if we only have $2 million that you have to from the grant after the money now is set, you can scale back that distance that you're going to be doing on the improvement. So really the exercise with Jeff at this point is to revise and fine tune those estimates for your number 1 project list. So like Holland Dam is on that list, bridge. You may be short based on the amount of money that's actually available. So that's kind of the exercise that Jeff's looking at discussing with each commissioner so that we can come back with a new list to the state. And it has to reflect dollar for dollar with what's available.
You could match more than amount. I was estimating $2 million, which is about 500,000 each. If it's from the bond, or 464 from each one, you have room to do both. And you can kind of mix it. If you want to do the state, which you each get 1,856,000 plus 500,000 or $1 million. But I am asking that y'all consider putting some of these monies, because most of the bond monies that we've done have all been paid with general fund taxes and not road and bridge taxes. So as we use up the general fund monies, then the road and bridge funds go up because you're not using road and bridge. So that's only fair to say, hey, let's balance it out now. So you can make a bigger project. You can go, you can have $1 million each more. And then, but any changes is that you kind of get them out of your funds. But he, I guess Jeff wants to know which projects
That's right.
to
That's all he
prioritize,
needs,
and that's what we
fine-tune.
need to do.
Yes.
And like I said, we can table this and go, and y'all decide by the end of the day. We table it, come back, and talks to Jeff on which road, and we come back and decide what projects you want.
Yeah, we'll update the list and we submit that to the state. That's today's agenda item that he has. He wanted to just fine tune the list. Now we have exact dollar amounts that the state's obligating and what we're responsible for. So let's go from there.
The only thing I was gonna suggest on the funds, and I still need George to review them, it shows about $13 million there, is that we have talked about redistricting, because that happens with the census. And we've had offices for everybody else, and I want you all to consider at a separate line item, whether we want an office for JP number 3 and the constable and the commissioner to be constructed, an office for JP number 1, the constable and the commissioner, and the same thing for 4. Because, and I'd like to get some pricing, some architect pricing to look at, and we have an idea. I don't think it's gonna be a lot of money, but we've managed to do offices for everybody already. And that enables it to be centralized. The wall housing is pretty old. Roxanne's in an old building. You know, we got the property with most of it, and then we just, you know, and then the leftover money after we get George, you can do some other county projects. So that's what, but I wanted you all to consider that to go back. That way Jack's not the only one that has an office.
Jay.
Yeah, because they've been attacking me, Judge.
Yeah, pues that takes care of it.
They've been attacking me that why I have an office, so I blamed it on you. Because it
Look-
was your idea. So
look, over-
it was a good idea.
Look, over a number of years, we've done over $100 million of projects. We've done a lot of projects and a lot of things, but the county has been struggling for so many years that you could probably come up with another $200 million of projects and still not get all the county done. So, you know, and right now with the oil being down, I think we can get good prices on everything. And when we do these projects, they hire locals, they hire people, and you see that money turning around.
And you're seeing that on the bids we got today, 6 bidders. It's been a while since we had 6 bidders, and you can see that it's starting to get out there.
So how about we table this and take lunch to 1 and come back and finish the rest of the items?
Okay, make the motion to table.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to table. And come back at 1. 1, yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.